Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a much anticipated video where I am updating the plant room. I'm so excited to do this video. I've had so many thoughts rolling around in my head of what I want to do, how I want to make the room function better, how I want it to feel. I talked about in a previous video about how I wanted to change up the wall situation, and there was lots of really nice comments of making suggestions to possibly put like fake plants up on this top row and maybe take off some of the individual plant hooks, like just lots of really good ideas. But unfortunately I am stubborn. So I'm gonna stick with what I originally planned, and that is to take off one of the rows and then kind of like distribute these a little bit differently so that it's just a little bit easier to take care of. And I think that's going to be the best thing for me, just having 3 rows, and I think a lot of the rows have like 8 to 9 plants each. I do see the advantages of removing some of the hooks, which maybe later down the line, maybe even in this video, I might decide to do that, but I do feel okay with taking care of 3 rows, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go get my drill. Oh shoot, it's in the greenhouse. Okay, I have to go out to the greenhouse and get the drill, and then I'll be right back. Daniel, can you help me reach something? As you might or might not be able to tell, the wall is going to need to be repaired right here, and otherwise it looks pretty good besides like the screw holes. So I'm going to quickly repair those while I'm up on the ladder and then figure out where I want to move this line up. I'm gonna move it up a little bit, probably about the distance between these two. I need to measure that and then sort of replicate it up here. And that will allow me to put those bigger pots up there, because the problem always was that I had to have little pots on this row because they would hit the top of the ladder. I always planned on taking the ladder back down and like trimming off a little bit more, but that never happened. And I don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna move it up ever so slightly. We're gonna have some holes to patch, but it'll be fine. Can you hand me the drill?
Jesus, Becca, I'm right here.
Well, maybe you didn't hear me. Can you hold on to these so I don't fall?
On camera?
Can you? It is on camera. Can you hand me the level? Okay, so I drilled them in like literally right above where I drilled before, so there should be a stud, but apparently there's not because it does not feel steady. What? Hold on a second. This doesn't make any sense. Ah! What's happening? I'm serious. It told me that there's a stud right here, and now there's not a stud. Oh, now it's over here? Like the screw just went right through the wood and into nothing. Okay, this should have taken like 3 seconds, and it has now taken most of the afternoon. Super annoying, the stud situation up here. I don't understand. I think I have found enough studs to make this stable. We will see. These both need to be moved. And after this top row situation, I don't know if I'm excited about this. I'm feeling kinda nervy. Okay, now that all of that is done, I'm just going to be cleaning up in there and figuring out what plants I want to put on the wall. So I'm going to take a meal break, a pump break, just a break. And this part of the video is sponsored by Factor. If you're not familiar with Factor, they are America's #1 ready-to-heat meal kit. You can get chef-prepared meals on the table in 2 minutes with Factor's ready-to-go meal styles. All you have to do is open up the packaging. I'm gonna take this piece out because this looks like peanut butter. You then just pierce the packaging a couple of times and warm it up for 2 minutes and you're ready to eat. Meals from Factor eliminate planning, prepping, cleaning, cooking, all of those things so that you can get back to doing what you love doing, which in my case, it is working on the plant room today. These meals are dietitian approved, which means that their registered dietitians work hand in hand with their kitchen to ensure every meal is made from scratch with nutritious ingredients. And if you want, you can amp up your Factor order by getting things like these wellness shots, proteins, juices, energy bites, veggie sides, desserts, and so much more. As someone who frequently forgets to eat, Factor just makes it really easy for me to get in my lunch and dinner if I need to use it for dinner, but usually I use it for lunch. So if you're interested in checking out Factor, you can head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code Becca50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next box. That's Becca50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. I just wanted to review what we've done so far because we've actually done quite a bit, a little bit more off camera than I would have wanted, but I just kind of got into a group, so I'm gonna show you what I did. All of our rows are evenly spaced from each other, and I think it looks really good. It's gonna be so much more manageable, honestly. And up at the top here, I think maybe you guys are onto something about like thinning out how many is up there, because I wanted to put my bigger plants that trail a lot more up on the very top so that this whole opening would be covered, and it just looks, it's very full, obviously, which is what I was wanting, but I feel like this is a bit too crowded, so I might, I don't know. Maybe I'll just intersperse these ones more with these ones that are a little bit more sparse, and that'll make it look a little bit less weird. But generally, I love the way that it looks. I think that honestly, it doesn't look that different, but it has made a big difference to me, knowing that I'm gonna have a lot less plants to take care of. And I'm also considering taking this hanger off as well as this one on the end, just because these ones on the margins, like, just honestly are in the way, / you don't see them really at all. So I'm thinking about just nixing those and then just putting those in other places, like right here. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. I am gonna need to touch up the paint. I currently filled in the top half of the wall. I haven't done this section right here yet. I would not say that this is renter friendly. Maybe it's because the paint was like very, very fresh when I put these up, but when I ripped them off the wall, it took some of the paint off, and yeah, not good. If you're good at patching, it's not a big deal, which, like, if you're renting, you should be able to just use some spackle and cover it up really easily, but at your own risk, you know? I mean, it is just screws in the wall, and maybe if it wasn't fresh paint, it might not have been so sticky. But anyway, I kind of feel like this makes it look more full because there isn't as much of a space between here, which I always felt kind of looked awkward that there was like a gap here. But now that this is like 6 inches lower, the bottom can kind of connect to the top a lot easier. I also don't have as many plants on this. I just have this row, like single row. And what I used to have was a zigzag and have like a lot more plants, but I think this looks really good. It's not overwhelming, at least to me. Maybe to other people it would be. We are also going to tackle this half of the room next. So I will see you guys tomorrow when we do all of that. Good morning. It's time to tackle the other half of the room. And this, I'm just going to be doing some rearranging. So just moving things from one side to the other, basically. I feel like this area, the front area of the room at least, is a little bit more utility, a little bit more like mudroom vibes. So I just want to make sure that it is going to be as efficient as possible for the way that we run our lives, I guess. I've also put a survey on Instagram just a few minutes ago for what color I should paint my door. Like if I should just refresh the current color or do something, I don't know, have an opportunity for something fresh. And there are 3 colors that I am down to. So far, it's looking like the green color, basil, is winning, which that's the one that I'm partial to because I think it looks best with the trim. I kind of hurt my own feelings because people were like, paint the trim, I hate it. And it's like one of the things that I love most about this room, surprisingly enough. I know that wood trim is not cute, and I can attest to this because I have wood trim in other parts of my house. But for some reason, the color of this wood trim is like a lighter, more honey color. Maybe that's the reason people don't like it. But I think it's really cute and it adds a little bit of warmth to otherwise white walls. So anyway, the wood trim is staying, much to some people's demise. I am sorry to disappoint. But anyway, while I wait for the final results on that and just sort of like think through what I personally want to do, I'm going to take care of this wall. So I'm taking down this wall shelf. Basically, it has been a sort of confusing place in the plant room for a long time. There's a very specific type of plant that will do well on it, and that's like very short plants that don't need a lot of light, which is like peperomia, which is cool, but like you can't really see them very well. And I, don't have any peperomia. You might be asking, what are you going to put there instead? Because it is prime wall real estate in the plant room. Well, I have these little tubes, these little beaker tubes that I actually got from CB2 a couple years ago. They have since been discontinued to my knowledge, and you can find really similar ones on Amazon. I'm gonna link a couple down below for your perusing, but I am just gonna hang those up there. I put 2 of them in my kitchen and it's just so cute. And you don't okay, you should hang things in studs. Okay, we're learning from me. There's no studs right here, so I don't even know why I put that there. But when it's something so light as like a little vase with water in it, I don't think that it's a big deal. I just use like tiny little nails to stick it in the wall. I just gave them a very thorough cleaning because they had a lot of hard water deposits, but they are just so pretty. If I can find something like as similar as possible to these, I will link it. But I just love how big they are. I think that they're just so gorgeous. So I was thinking about doing like a 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here thing. Like just like a zigzag down. I think that would probably look best. And fill it with cuttings so that any imperfections are not as visible. Smaller shelf to this side of the room, and I think that I like it. I wasn't sure until I put these plants up here, and I think I'm a little bit more pro shelf on this side. Also, I feel like 1 plant per shelf looks a lot better than 2, but like it feels like wasted space, but it's not, but it just feels that way. Like this, one pot per shelf, just, yeah, that looks so much better. Ooh, it does, it really, really does. But then like, what do I do with this one? I don't know. I'm creating less plant spaces, which like isn't entirely a bad thing. But, oh, you know what? Since I put the Gloriosum on the art shelf, I can put this where the gloriosum was. Okay, we're good. I have a whole section of plants down here that are my giveaway plants. And I need to like package some of them and send some of them to Nicole. Some of them I'm going to maybe list on Marketplace. But I was also thinking that I might use them as experimental plants in my greenhouse to see how well, I don't know, like the sacrificial plants for the greenhouse to see how good the greenhouse is doing as far as like ventilation and heat in the evenings. And I might even consider putting the shoe rack / plant stand on this wall instead and then have that be open, because this being closed off like right by the doorway, I don't know, it makes the room feel smaller and like closed in. So I might change that later, but I'm gonna check the poll. Let's see what the poll says. Basil by far and away is winning. It has 130 votes, and then the other two colors have about 30. And I agree with that assessment. Let's go. I'm back from Lowe's. I've made a decision on the paint, and we went with Basil by Sherwin-Williams. I was looking at the photos of the mock-up, and honestly, it just looked like the one that, I don't know, how do I explain this? It just looked right. It looked like the door had always been that color. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I was a little bit worried that the terracotta might interact too much with the wood trim. I don't know, I just didn't want that part to like look bad. So I don't know, maybe I played it a little safe, but maybe I made the right decision. Hopefully I made the right decision. And also while I was there, unfortunately I did find some plants, okay? So I found this beautiful little Fittonia, which, you know, I always had to have a Fittonia. But then I saw this. This was on the sale rack for being a distressed plant. And honestly, it doesn't look bad. Like, yeah, there's some dead leaves in here and this leaf is crusty, but otherwise it looks fine. So I'm going to pot this in with my other Moonshine, Synapsis trubii Moonlight. I'm gonna pot it in with my other one to make it look a little bit more full. It was on sale, hard to pass up, and this pot is actually very pretty, but I won't be using it for this plant. Maybe for a different plant. And I also just realized that it's not ceramic. This is like a plastic, which might come in handy for certain plants later on. But first, I want to paint the door. I've already prepped this area. I normally would take this off if I was painting a different type of door, but just because this is like the front door mechanism and it has like a power lock thing, I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to tempt fate there. The door is officially painted. It's incredibly hard to show you the color because it's so backlit with all of the windows, but I don't know if I'm fully in love with the color. I hate to admit that, but it is what it is for right now. I mean, it was so easy to paint it. Like, I feel like that looks really accurate of the color. It's leaning a little bluish to me, where I usually prefer greens that are like maybe more yellowy. I don't know. It definitely looked different in the rendering. I'll say that. It looked a little bit darker in the rendering, but we're gonna give it time to dry and just, you know, live its life. I don't think it looks bad, but I just don't know if I'm in love with this green, and I might be considering the terracotta. Maybe later though, because I think it looks fine. Honestly, it's fine. We've got 2 things left to do here, and then we are done, D-O-N-E. So I have been really wanting to fix the water damage on my IKEA bench piece. I have 2 IKEA Besta units down here. That's what this white thing is right here. I basically bought the longer Besta unit, and then I bought the shorter Besta unit, and then I cut the shorter one to fit perfectly into this spot. But, and it's been great. I haven't had any issues with it. But what I'm noticing is my saucers are terracotta and they're not sealed, and that is a problem because it caused water damage. In order to make it look better, I went to Home Depot today and I was planning on getting a piece of plywood and like sealing it with some polyurethane and then putting that on there. But then I saw a sheet of PVC, and PVC is plastic essentially, and it's not going to incur water damage, and I'm also not going to have to maintain it like I would with the polyurethane possibly. So I opted for that. It was a little bit more expensive. It was $100 for the sheet, but this guarantees that I'm not gonna have to deal with water damage ever again. So I just need to cut it to size and place it. I'm thinking that I don't know if I wanna like screw it in. I might screw it in like a couple places just so that it doesn't move around. But generally it's just gonna be cutting and placing, so all good there. I'm going to be using my cutoff tool for this. PVC is very easy to cut through. It's very light, so I don't need anything too intense. And I'm trying to figure out putting this back on it so that I don't get all of the little pieces of plastic all over my yard, although there will probably be some. Hopefully I won't get as much. The last thing that we need to do today, and for this entire project, is install these drawer pulls. I bought these so long ago and have just not installed them yet, so it is time. We are going to do that. I'm also going to make a little template out of this piece of cardboard right here so that I have them pinned in the same spot every single time. I guess not pinned, but you know what I mean. These are actually for like drawers, so this bolt is quite long. I don't think we need a bolt this long, but you know, it is what it is.
No, wait.
Well, my friends, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me the last couple of days while I refreshed the plant room. I love the updates that we made. It feels so much more functional. It feels just really nice to be in here now. I feel like I have so much more space for activities. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I finally did this after so many months, possibly a year of wanting to do it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss my upcoming plant tour. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.